At 02:14 local time, a Patriot battery operator on the island of Bahrain picks up the first contact. Low, slow, bearing northeast, crawling up the Gulf at 110 knots. He watches for 8 seconds and a second contact appears behind him. Then a third, then 6 more. Shaheds, swept-wing kamikaze drones with a 2-stroke engine on the tail and enough explosive to gut a building. At least a dozen of them aimed at Naval Support Activity Bahrain, a base where 8,000 American soldiers and their families are sleeping half a mile from the perimeter fence. The battery's commander's problem is not tactical. These things fly in a straight line at the speed of a Cessna. His problem is arithmetic. A PAC-3 interceptor costs $4 million a round. Shooting one at a $30,000 Shahed is like swatting a mosquito with a Rolex. It works, but you're not getting the Rolex back. And every round he spends is one he won't have if something bigger shows up behind the swarm. But protecting civilian life is non-negotiable. He fires. The canister blows and the PAC-3 clears the launcher on a pillar of white exhaust. 17 feet of guided telephone pole accelerating to Mach 5 inside of 2 seconds. No regular warhead, no fragmentation, just a 700-pound guided brick that steers itself into the target nose on and lets kinetic energy do the rest. The Shahed doesn't maneuver or even detect the threat. The PAC-3 shreds it over the harbor. Debris rains into the water. He fires again. Same result, again. The drones keep coming because Iran didn't send a dozen. Iran sent enough to try to drain the rack. What the battery commander didn't know was that the Shaheds were never meant to hit anything. They were bait. The Patriot crews shred them faster than Iran can space the follow-on waves. While both batteries are angled northeast, cleaning up the last of the swarm, a Fatah 1 ballistic missile drops from directly overhead on a near-vertical descent at Mach 13. Iran's most advanced weapon, slipping through the front door while security is chasing skateboarders in the parking lot. The warhead hits a service center 130 feet from the command hub. A second missile flattens a satellite uplink dish. 2 hits. Out of everything Iran threw at Bahrain, 2 weapons landed. And the operational impact is close to zero. The satellite uplink was one of at least half a dozen ways Fifth Fleet talks to its ships. HF radio, UHF SATCOM, Link 16, Fleet broadband, and encrypted chat. Losing that dish is like someone cutting your landline when you've got a cell phone, a satellite phone, and your neighbor's Wi-Fi password. The comms reroute within minutes. Fifth Fleet doesn't miss a beat. 50 miles across the water in the UAE, al-Udeid scope is filling up with inbound contacts. They're about to get a much bigger test. The Combined Air Operations Center sits in a hardened building at al-Udeid's airbase. Nobody leaves their console. The air war doesn't pause because Iran decided to shoot back. At 0300 local, Iranian ballistic missiles cross the Qatari coastline in stacks. Second salvo already climbing before the first arrives. Third right behind, designed to keep the Patriot batteries cycling reloads without a gap. A PAC-3 MSE operator picks up the lead track at 40 miles. Speed, trajectory, probable impact point, all computed in under 2 seconds. He confirms the engagement. The canister blows and the PAC-3 MSE clears the launcher. Same guided telephone pole as Bahrain, but the MSE variant is faster and meaner. Mach 5, steering with the same altitude thrusters NASA uses to dock spacecraft, firing millimeter corrections at a closing speed where both objects cease to exist on contact. The first intercept flashes above Doha at 80,000 feet. The warhead and the interceptor cease to exist in the same instant. Over 8,000 miles per hour of combined closure speed, converting both into a spray of particles that will drift through the upper atmosphere for days. A second PAC-3 is already climbing. For 90 seconds, every Iranian missile meets an American interceptor on the way up. The operators cycle through engagements with the mechanical rhythm of a crew that has run this drill 1,000 times in simulators. Iran's one success at al-Udeid comes from the same trick as Bahrain, a maneuvering warhead that fires small lateral thrusters at 30,000 feet and shifts trajectory just enough to slide past interceptors already committed to the original track. 2 warheads and a low-flying Shahed get through the saturated window. An ANFPS-132 early warning radar takes damage. A section of the flight line gets cratered. And it doesn't even matter. The E-3 Sentry AWACS orbiting at 30,000 feet is already doing the same job the ground radar was doing. The base has backup power, backup comms, and backup sensors for the backups. The cratered flight line gets rapid set concrete within the hour. Inside the Kayak, the screens flicker from the impact. The overhead lights sway. The officer grabs his coffee before it slides off the console. Fire trucks work the flight line outside the blast windows, while officers inside continue directing the air campaign against Iran without interruption. Iran put 3 weapons through the front door of the building, running the air war against it. The air war didn't notice, but in the skies over Kuwait, it's a different story. The sky over al-Salem sounds like a thunderstorm that never moves on. 380 inbound projectiles, ballistic missiles and drones stacked together, salvo after salvo. The largest combined barrage any missile defense battery has faced in modern warfare. The Kuwaiti and American Patriot crews are about to set a record that may never be broken. A PAC-3 operator acquires the first inbound Shahab variant at the edge of his envelope, 35 miles out, descending through 60,000 feet at Mach 6. He fires 2 interceptors 8 seconds apart. Standard procedure. If the first misses, the second is already on the way. The first catches the warhead head-on at 40,000 feet. Flash. Track gone. The second, already committed, self-destructs when it loses its target. 2 rounds per threat. That's the math nobody puts in the brochure, since you don't get second chances with ballistic missiles. The batteries keep firing. White arcs climbing in pairs, flashing at altitude, wreckage trails streaking earthward. The crews cycle through reload after reload, canisters emptied, swapped, and reloaded by ground teams working under the strobe light flicker of their own interceptors launching overhead. Every few minutes, a new salvo crosses the Kuwaiti border, and every few minutes, the Patriot batteries answer. The pace never stops. The accuracy never drops. 3 hours of continuous engagement at a rate of fire no peacetime exercise ever simulated. 380 engagements, 0 leakers, perfect record. Under conditions no missile defense system was designed to face at this volume, they bat 1,000. The kind of performance that rewrites every textbook on integrated air and missile defense. Somewhere in a defense company boardroom, the next sales presentation just wrote itself. But physics still extracts a cost. 380 intercepts means 380 debris clouds falling somewhere. Most land in open desert, but shrapnel from a high-altitude intercept rains through a supply staging area where troops are loading pallets through the night. The calls for medics soon ring out across the base. Ground crews patch the runway with rapid-set concrete and route forklifts around debris craters. A stray drone clips Kuwait International Airport. Iran's 1,000-missile barrage has done little more here than inconvenience commercial aviation. 380 for 380. The most perfect missile defense performance in history. The shrapnel casualties are the cost of physics, not the cost of failure. And this is far from the only event making history tonight. A THAAD operator from Al Dhafra Air Base gets the launch notification at 0347 local. 2 ballistic tracks, high arc, inbound from Iranian territory. Terminal high altitude area defense. 30 years of development, billions of taxpayer dollars. It proved itself over the UAE in 2022 against the Houthi ballistic missiles, and then fired roughly 150 interceptors defending Israel across 2024 and 2025. But it has never defended an American base under a direct Iranian barrage. Until right now. The battery fires. The first interceptor blows out of its canister and climbs on a single-stage solid rocket motor. One continuous burn, pushing the weapon straight up through the troposphere, through the stratosphere, into the thin black where the sky stops being blue and starts being space. At 60 miles altitude, the nose cone separates and the kinetic interceptor, about the size of a basketball, packed with infrared seekers and its own divert thrusters, flies free. 60 miles up, higher than weather balloons, higher than spy planes, the edge of space, where the air is so thin a candle wouldn't stay lit. And this thing is steering itself into a target moving at Mach 8. No conventional warhead, just mass meeting mass at a combined closure speed that would cross the continental United States in under 12 minutes. The seeker locks the descending Iranian warhead against the cold background of space. The thrusters fire millimeter corrections, and the 2 objects meet head-on. Kinetic energy converts both into vapor 60 miles above the desert. 2 flashes above Abu Dhabi, bright enough to photograph from the ground. A second interceptor handles the second track with the same clean physics. Acquire, close, convert to vapor. Iran fires over 300 missiles and drones at the UAE that night. Every single one aimed at a military target gets intercepted. Al Dhafra stays in the fight without a scratch, not a pothole on the runway, not a broken window in the operations building. Undeterred, Iran tries it again in Jordan. An F-35 pilot at Mawaf al-Salti Air Base is running his last pre-takeoff checks when the air raid sirens start wailing. 49 projectiles are converging on the base, ballistic missiles and drones in mixed salvos. Jordanian interceptors climb hard into the night. A THAAD battery takes the highest threats. A warhead punches through the perimeter. The blast shakes the ramp hard enough to feel through the F-35's landing gear. Smoke is visible off the left canopy from a structure that just took a direct hit. His sortie card says Iran. He advances to military power, feels the 43,000 pounds of thrust press him into the seat, releases the brakes. The F-35 accelerates down the runway, sirens wailing, smoke off the left canopy, interceptor contrails crisscrossing the sky above him, his own base taking fire behind the tail, and rotates into the dark with missiles still arcing overhead. The heads-up display is already populating with waypoints. First target, an IRGC command relay in western Iran. Coordinates updated 6 minutes ago via Link 16. He retracts the gear, cleans up the jet, and points the nose east at 400 knots while a Patriot launch lights up his rearview mirrors. He'll fly into western Iran, put precision munitions through those coordinates, land on his same runway, rearm, and do it again before sunrise. 2 combat sorties in one night, both launched from a base under active fire. He's not the only one. 60 other American combat aircraft operate out of Mawaf al-Salti that night. F-35As, Fa-18s, tankers cycling on and off the runway between incoming salvos. Ground crews patch blast damage, F-35As, Fa-18s, tankers cycling on and off the runway between incoming salvos. Ground crews patch damage with rapid set concrete between launch cycles, which is basically like superglue but for runways. As one team finishes one crater, another drives to the next and has it filled before the concrete on the first one is fully cured. A weapons loader drives his truck around a fresh gouge in the taxiway to deliver JDAMs to a jet turning for its second sortie. Armorers hang 2,000-pound bombs on pylons while Patriot contrails arc overhead. Iran threw 49 weapons at this base using targeting data from Chinese commercial satellites precise enough to identify individual aircraft shelters. The intelligence was perfect. The satellites caught everything: hardened shelters, fuel points, the command post. Even still, every one of those jets takes off anyway, drops coordinates on Iran, and comes back for more. But while Gulf bases and Jordan get minutes of warning from the east, Erbil, Iraq is so close they only get seconds from every direction. Iraqi militia positioned 60 miles south are sending cheap Iranian-designed drones at American compounds, close enough to hear the engines before the radar paints them. By Saturday night, they've claimed 16 separate drone attacks on American positions. Over the American compound, a Sea-Whiz operator hears the first one before his scope shows anything. A cheap 2-stroke engine buzzing in the dark at 300 feet. The Sea-Whiz doesn't deliberate. Its search radar acquires the target, the tracking radar refines the solution, and the 20mm M61 Gatling gun spins up to 4,500 rounds per minute with its 6-barrel assembly rotating over 12 times a second. The tungsten rounds leave the muzzle at 3,600 feet per second like a swarm of angry wasps, and the drone disintegrates at a range close enough to see the fireball without binoculars. The burst lasts less than a second, 25 rounds of tungsten meeting a plastic airframe the way a fire hose meets a paper plate. From radar contact to scrap metal, 4 seconds. A second drone comes from a completely different bearing, south instead of west. The gun slews, locks, fires. The night lights up again. A third from the northwest, same result. A fourth. The Sea-Whiz chews through them so fast the barrel assembly is radiating heat visible on infrared. The militia crews launching these things from the back of pickup trucks 60 miles away have no idea whether any of them are getting through. They just keep feeding them into the dark and posting claims on Telegram. 16 attacks, 16 claims of American casualties, 0 impacts inside the perimeter. The Iraqi militias are batting .000 and posting highlight reels on TikTok and Telegram. The most expensive thing damaged at Erbil all night was the section of perimeter fence hit by falling drone debris from a successful intercept. The only American asset Iran hasn't shot at yet is the one that isn't bolted to the ground. And this is by far Iran's biggest mistake of the day. The IRGC launches ballistic missiles at Carrier Strike Group 3 in the northern Arabian Sea. The Lincoln heels into a hard turn, the same evasive maneuver that sent an FA-18 sliding off the Truman's deck during a Houthi attack earlier that year. Flight deck crews grab a hold of anything bolted down. The carrier's 4 crews churn the Arabian Sea white as 100,000 tons of warship pivots to present the smallest possible radar cross-section to the inbound tracks. The escorts don't need the barrier to hold steady. Their Aegis radars are already tracking. Out on the screen, Aegis cruisers and guided missile destroyers spread so wide you can't see the edges of the formation from the Lincoln's bridge. The AN Spy-1D phased array radars are tracking everything inbound before it clears Iranian airspace. 4 fixed arrays per ship, no moving parts. Firing solutions building on threats that are still climbing out of Iran. The missiles haven't reached apogee and the defense already knows where they're going to land. The outer ring fires first. SM-3 interceptors climb out of the vertical launch cells in 2 destroyers. VLS hatches blow open. Booster ignites, and a 3,000-pound missile clears the deck, trailing white exhaust into the dark. Exo-atmospheric intercept above the atmosphere entirely, catching the warheads in space before they begin their terminal dive. The SM-3 sheds its first stage booster, then its second, then its third, each one falling away as the missile gets lighter and faster. The initial stage is a kinetic warhead the size of a basketball riding into the vacuum above the Arabian Sea at Mach 13, steering with puffs of nitrogen gas so precise they're measured in millimeters per second. No explosives, just a guided brick meeting an incoming warhead head-on, like threading a needle. If the needle and thread were both moving at 10,000 miles per hour and neither one gets to try twice. 2 bright flashes the lookouts on the signal bridge can see without magnification. 2 tracks gone before they ever started falling. SM-2s handled the next wave on the descent. Interceptors screaming upward from 3 destroyers simultaneously, converging on warheads falling at hypersonic speed. Flashes at altitude, more tracks gone. A pair of Shaheds hugging the water at 50 feet try to sneak under the radar coverage. They get inside the outer ring before the Lincoln's SeaRAM picks them up. 2 RAM missiles ripple off the launcher 3 seconds apart. Each one a 5-foot guided missile with an infrared seeker that homes in on the drone's engine heat. The first RAM tracks the Shahed across the wavetops and hits it low enough to scatter wreckage across the surface. The second catches the trailing drone a mile behind it. 2 threats, 2 missiles, 2 intercepts at ranges measured in thousands of yards. The fireball is visible from the Lincoln's flight deck. Not a single Iranian weapon touches the carrier or any ship in the formation. 15 minutes later, the flight deck is clear and the catapult steam is building. But the Lincoln isn't launching a routine cycle. The air boss calls out every combat aircraft on the roof, loaded to maximum gross weight, launching in sequence. This isn't defense anymore. The FA-18 from VFA-41 Black Aces rolls onto Catapult 1 carrying 4 GBU-31 JDAMs, 8,000 pounds of GPS-guided ordnance aimed at the IRGC's underground command bunker at Isfahan. The catapult officer drops to one knee, touches the deck. The holdback breaks. 0 to 165 miles per hour in under 3 seconds. The Super Hornet clears the bow and climbs east. Behind it, Catapult 2 fires. Then 1 again. Then 2. 14 jets in 9 minutes. Super Hornets, Growlers, a Hawkeye riding high to quarterback the strike. Every pylon loaded, every jet headed for Iran. Iran took their best shot trying to shut this carrier down. It bought them 15 minutes of empty flight deck. And now every single one of those missiles is answered, not with interceptors, but with JDAMs falling on the facilities that just launched or coordinated them. If you enjoyed this video, check out our other video on how the US and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury and dismantled Iran's military in a single day. Bye for now.